Hi guys, Natalie here, Only One United back again. Talking City, talking the big games. Hi Ryan, huge week. Yeah, two big games, sporty. Yeah, 100% agree with you. Let's start it off. Just going to introduce the guests. Namrata, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, good to be back again.
Yep, no worries. I think you're on the preview or whether you have been on a lot of reviews or whatever after game when I'm
Yeah.
not about you in the town who holds the fort. But yeah, Emma Sean, been a while, Emma, since I suppose me and you have talked different channels, different this. I've always about, but you've always been sort of City, their main City fan. That's how I see you. Now,
Thanks, mate.
now your fan base is growing, and we have different people on, and it's good to meet different people, City. But just tell people a bit about yourself if they don't know you.
Yeah, I'm Emma, Man City women fan. Follow the team. Not as much home away this season, but most definitely at home. I also host the Man City Women Fancast, which follows the team throughout the season. Been doing that now for its fifth season, I think. So yeah, quite some time. But yeah, obviously big fan of the team and obviously cover them as best I can.
Guys, drop a like in. Keep following. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get straight into it. I want to come to Emma, and we will go on to other things about United. Don't think that we're not going to talk, but Emma, talk to us. City this year, out of the title, out of Europe. Is it? What do you? Well, you can say. What's happened?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fair to say that when we started this season with the players that we lost, it was going to look like a bit of a transitional season. Obviously, we didn't have the greatest start again. Knocked out of Europe. Really poor start to the season in the WSL. Then we gained a little bit of momentum. The team started to come together in terms of performances out on the pitch, and the players that we brought in were starting to impress and gel. We were getting a little bit of cohesiveness, and it seemed that we were gaining that momentum, but obviously that's kind of dropped off again towards the end of the season. Obviously disappointing result last week against Liverpool, and it's kind of put us out of that chance of maybe securing that top three and getting Champions League again next season. But I think there's been a lot of positives. It's just a matter of carrying that forward, I think, now for me next season. But I'm expecting a much improved start to the season. I think get this season done now and see what happens in the summer. But I think it is a disappointment, I think, but I can't say that I'm not happy given the start to the season, the position that we're in at this point. The quality in terms of the league itself has obviously vastly improved. We've all been the other side of some results, and even Chelsea have dropped points this season. So I think we're all moving in the right direction. Certainly United are anyway. But yeah, for me, it's. I think I just want to put this season to bed now.
And I mean, listen, I'm not one to brag and all this, but at the same
time,
yes, you are. And at the same time, I remember 2 years ago, me and you were on a show, Emma, and it was COVID, and I said Man United, Man City, behind closed doors, and City went on to win that game. And I said it's either going to be one team going up or one team going down. And unfortunately, at the time, it was Man United going down, and it's taken us 2 years to, I suppose, reverse fixture. We're in the sort of, I know you're saying that you can't, but there is that still potential that you can, but we are in that similar situation where it is, that, and I was so shocked at the Liverpool. I remember we were outside, and I think even everyone was celebrating because they knew what that meant. People are saying stuff now, but I mean, as a United fan watching City, and then there's talk, Ryan saying, if I said it right, we need to keep best players, and she talked about losing players. I mean, what do you think now? Just looking at their season,
I think when Emma says that, I just want the season to be over. That's been asked for the last 4 years. So I mean, it's kind of it feels good because I'm just glad that we getting into the Champions League. We didn't leave it to the last match. I mean, we didn't do anything, but kind of glad that Liverpool did us a favor. So Liverpool can do us another favor, hopefully, in the last match. So yeah, but I think getting the Champions League was very important for us. 4 years we've been saying the same thing. 2 years ago, top of the table, finished 1 point behind Arsenal. Last year, I think we were not really in the same zone. So, like, we've been top of the table for most of the season. Getting top three was the aim. We've got that. Anything else would be a bonus. FA Cup was not that, just hoping Arsenal do us a bit of favor on Sunday.
100%. I mean, Vicky's put a question here for you, Emma. And I know my answer. I want him to stay in Gaz We Trust.
You want him to stay? Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah. What do you think? What do City fans think?
I think at this time, I think with Nelson coming in as director of women's football at the club, there's been very transparent conversations about Gareth's role within the club and his part that he's going to play in the future in terms of building. It's obviously they've got it in mind that there's a core group of players that they want to build a squad around for the future, and finding that balance of youth and experience as well. And they've kind of made it insinuated that Gareth has got a part to play in that. So I think they've obviously will offer him a new deal potentially. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do believe he has got a part to play in the future of City. And I know that there have been a lot of questions over his tenure, and yeah, probably United fans are going to be rubbing their hands together. But for me, I have been happy with the job that he's doing. Obviously questionable at times, but I think next season is the season for me now. Like, I am expecting big things, a big response, because we should be challenging in Europe and we should be pushing to get that league title, and we've had a few seasons now where we've been on the cusp or we've not been good enough, and we need to really show some progression.
I mean, Vicky's got another question. Is he going to do Nat Nielsen? Is he going to do Willie Kirk? So we all know what happened with that. Willie came in above Lydia Bedford and then ended up taking over. And you're saying, oh, Gareth is doing this and that. But, I've had different, I think it's Frank and then and Charlotte has said things, he doesn't rotate, he doesn't do this, he doesn't play the players, he doesn't make quick enough. And I mean, it's exactly what we've got a problem with Mark, but I suppose our problem with Mark, we're second and we're in the final, so it's less
I think the difference is potentially next season, if we're not competing in Europe, then obviously there are going to be players that are going to be fighting over minutes. How he manages that squad now will be quite interesting, because obviously we have depth for a reason. It's a pretty hard one to kind of predict, really. I mean, obviously, if players come in and we don't get the results again, if we go on a really poor run like we did at the beginning of the season, how many times we're going to put ourselves in this position? Because at some point, we need to say this isn't acceptable anymore. So, I think we've just got to just see how it pans out, I think. And as fans, you don't really want to be put in that situation in the first place. But, you've been there yourselves. You know how frustrating it is. But everything that's coming out of the club is suggesting that we're really going to push on now, but that has obviously got to translate in the results that we're going to get hopefully in the future.
I mean, I'm here for Gareth Taylor staying in charge, definitely. Ryan's just saying hopefully Arsenal do us a favour and we beat City. So let's just get into it now. How do you see this game going? I mean, you can touch. Do you think the final's going to have an impact? Obviously, for me, in the final, we played well, but I think I've said it, didn't make subs, didn't make the right subs. The people that came on, and I'm worried with it being City because I do think they're going to react. They've just lost. They know that they're not going to win the league. They know basically they're fighting for Europe. They're fighting with Arsenal, and we went in Arsenal to win. And then that then puts a pressure on City that they can't lose, if Arsenal do win, because they want to finish third. And, Vicky's saying it, 2 weeks without a game. We've just come off that. I mean, I heard someone say it takes 2 weeks to recover after losing. Or do you think, no, they're going to be up for it? Because I do think with it being at home, it is going to have an impact. They are going to be straight up for it. What do you think now?
I think ours is the second game. So just a second. So ours is the second game, and I think Chelsea play Arsenal before us. So I think the way that match goes will have a bit of an impact, because I think if Chelsea win, then effectively we only have second place to play for. And, and as you said, City will have top three to play for, so they might be a bit more motivated. On the other hand, like if Chelsea lose, then the pressure will be on us, because then we have to win that. And usually in the past few seasons, we've seen that when the pressure is on us, we haven't really done that well. We've seen that it has changed this season somewhat. Like there's a bit more of a winning mentality. Like even in FA Cup final, right? There's so many times that you see teams who reach their first final, they kind of lose their head and they lose by a large margin. So we didn't do that, and I think in the first half we played really well. So I think they will be disappointed with the FA Cup result, but I think they would have been, I think the moment that fixture was announced, I think because I can speak for the fans at least, the moment the fixture was announced, I saw the second last game is against Man City. So I think they will be prepared. But the way the result goes for Chelsea versus Arsenal, I think that might have a bit of a effect on how we kind of approach that game.
Emma, what do you think? Listening to Nam, and I suppose you guys had the 2 week rest, and your result, and coming off the back, and Arsenal putting pressure on you. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a good position for us to be in heading into this game. I think, obviously, with your obviously final and the way that went, and I've got to say, United played really well that game as well, and you were pretty unlucky, I think, not to really get anything out of that game, because I think you certainly matched Chelsea in that game, and we're just a bit unfortunate that it was just a bit of a lapse in concentration or whatever that resulted in the goal that kind of won the game. So I wasn't overwhelmed by Chelsea in the performance that they put in that game. So I certainly feel that there are positives for United to carry into the derby, because I don't necessarily feel that it was a negative performance, and I think, like Mark said in his presser, the focus turns to the league, and United know what they've got to do, and I have no doubt that United will be up for the game, and be looking to get something out of the game. And for us, I think obviously we'll be looking for that sort of response from that defeat against Liverpool, but in terms of preparation, yeah, it's certainly on our side in terms of rest and recovery and getting that time out on the training pitch to sort of put the errors right. So Gareth will be looking for a response from the team, and what a better way to respond than in a derby, where we wanted to go to Lee and cause a bit of an upset because you're playing well. It's going to be a tough game, and I don't honestly think there's going to be much in it, to be fair. I believe we can get somewhere out of the game, but equally, United have been excellent this season. So I think in terms of the test itself, it is going to be one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hope I'm saying your name right here, but I think it's Ryan. I hope I'm saying it right, but we're going to win our last two games, and I do feel when we play at LSV, Nam, I don't know how you feel when you're watching it. Do you feel that difference? Do you feel like it? I think it does. I think it really makes a difference. And I think the game where I thought this is really making a difference is the Arsenal. No one really expected us. I think Arsenal had beat Bayern Munich, all this kind of stuff. And, you know, they were on a bit of a roll coming up against us. And I know people say, oh, you played our C team, this happened, Leah, all this. Yeah, but by the by, Man United won 1-0. You know, we put the ball in the back of the net that day. Arsenal didn't. And I think I watched that Liverpool bits of it, and their first goal, that was like food for us. Like the way that Liverpool just pressed them and they just, no offense to me, you just crumbled. And I thought, Jesus, this is like food for us. We're going to eat this up. Like, I was just thinking, Leah, let me just get Hayley Ladd to press them, and then Leah just come through. Like, I'm just thinking food, you know? But I don't think you can think like that, because I think sometimes when we do play City, we let the occasion get to us. So I think at the Etihad, we were the better team. Second half, we dropped off it, but I still think we then came back into it, and we really should have won. And
you see that derby's a funny one, because I still think we're in a not so good space, you know, in terms of that point at that moment in time. I don't think we're fully there. I still don't think we're fully there, in all honesty. But you know, I think we're in a much better place than we were then. You know, so I think it's quite a funny one, because United have set so many markers this season, you know, that there is an expectation that perhaps United could probably get the win. And, you know, in all honesty, we are the underdogs in this one now. But like you said, it's a derby. And I suppose derbies themselves, you know, everything goes out the window, doesn't it? You never know kind of what you're going to get on the day. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we've had those feisty affairs. We've had those end-to-end kind of affairs. We've had, you know, not a lot in it kind of affairs. And I think as well, you know, it would be another huge marker for United if you were to obviously get a win against us, because that would be obviously your first win against it in the WSL. So, you know, I think there's a lot for United to play for, and probably more so than us, to be fair. So I, even though obviously you're coming going into this off of the back of the FA Cup, I don't think that's really going to have any bearing on this actual game itself.
Nam, what do you think? Obviously, Emma's just said about, you know, first ever win. Obviously, we have beaten City, but like you said, in the league, and I was disappointed in the Etihad. Not to the extent where I thought, you know, this one, that one, but they were disappointed. Like, 2-0 looked like crying. I thought, why crying? We've just got a point. But yeah, they weren't happy with it, you know? So I suppose that's the, like you say, mentality.
That's the difference. That's the difference for United. The difference in mentality, you know, the belief is coming to fruition. It's actually being installed. And, you know, when Skinner came in, and I know there's, you know, still some fans that aren't maybe happy that he's the right person for the job, but as a United fan, you've got to be buzzing with the position that you're in at the moment. You know, you're essentially, you know, one of the big players in the league, and it's actually showing. All the results and everything is moving in the right direction. And, you know, you've kind of made this huge progression, and I can only see you going forward now, to be fair.
I mean, it feels sweet. Damn, tell me, you know, your response.
I'm in a good mood as well, so.
Yeah, I think just on the City match at the Etihad. So I think we played well in the first half. City did not play that well, but like, I know that getting a draw was fine, but I think with United, the problem is that in second half, we kind of sometimes let the momentum slip, and City kind of came back after halftime. They made some changes. I think they only substituted one player, but I think they came out after halftime, and they played much better than us. And we did not. I think the problem is that we're not as proactive. So we could see that the tide's changing. You know, City is kind of growing into the game. They have scored another goal. It's a draw now. So instead of kind of going for the win, I don't remember, but I think we subbed on a defender, I think, at the Etihad. So the thing with this season is that obviously it's been a very good season for us till now. Like FA Cup final, definitely a top 3 position. But the problem is, like, you look at the team and you look at the kind of decisions, the substitutions, the quality of players we have on the bench, and you just think, that maybe it could have been even better. Because I think even in the FA Cup, for 60 minutes, we were a good team. We played really well. Did we react well to Pernilla Harder coming on and Chelsea scoring the goal? I don't think we did. And I feel like we did have the quality of players on the bench. And if the right substitutions had been made, we could have actually won the FA Cup. So it's not just about being happy that, yes, we have got this far, but I genuinely believe we could have got even further. Uh, and I think that is where the frustration comes in for Mark Skinner a bit. And uh, it's because we just don't know what might have happened because we haven't tried that ever yet. We've had the same starting 11 throughout in the league. Maybe if we could have tried something else, we might just have won against Chelsea at Kingsmeadow. We had much higher possession than them. Uh, Maybe bring on a little bit more creativity. We score that goal, we win the game. Then this match is kind of meaningless. But because we haven't tried and tested a lot of things, we just have one plan, and when it works really well. When it doesn't work, thankfully it has worked this time. We also haven't had that many injuries, so in that sense I think we have been a little bit lucky. The FA Cup, I think the teams that we face, we've been lucky there as well a little bit. Obviously you have to win those games. And one of the players who was actually on the bench in the FA Cup final had scored or assisted in almost all the FA Cup games. And I think it's these moments where, like, if you think back to Leicester winning the Premier League, they could have just thought, we're getting into top 4, this is good enough, right? But they actually went for the title. And this is a golden chance. And I would really want, I know it's not in our hands, but I would really want Mark to kind of go for it and hope Chelsea kind of stumble against Arsenal or against Reading.
We need to smash these 2 games now out of the park, and not even in a disrespectful way. I mean, Chelsea have caught up on our goal difference, and it's not even like a draw is good enough now. So for me, I think we need to start. I mean, we've already scored 6 against Liverpool, and it's a different task when you go to theirs. But for me, like I said, just watching that City play against Liverpool, and with the crowd, I think City will score, but I just think that we can. It might sound. I don't think we can score 4. I think we could. I don't know. That's just what I feel in my heart. It might not happen like that. It's a derby.
I think the thing for me with United, the difference that has stood out for me that's impressed me with United is that you found ways to win. You found ways to win in deep time, like Fergie time, whatever you want to call it these days. But you found a way to win. Last season that United would have given up and they wouldn't have come back from it. You've done it a few times this season. You've found a way, and that is the difference between a top flight team, an elite team, and just a bang average team, which we have been this season. Do you know what I mean? We've not been at our best. And in those sort of big games where you want to get something out of the games, United have found a way to win and we haven't. And that's been our downfall this season. And we need to take something from that and apply it to our game. We've got a lot of experience, we've got a lot of seasoned players, good players as well at that, and United will become a good place for players to go, and I believe you'll probably start to attract those bigger name players as well, especially in Europe. you know. This season, I don't know if we'll just see it as a bit of a learning curve, but we've got to take things away from it and apply it to next season to make us better. Because for me, as fans, people will probably say, yeah, it's all right, you know, with all the players that we've lost, you know, we pulled it back and we managed to you know, to get some results and be up there and competing for top 3. But for me, it's still not really good enough. It's not good enough. And at what, you know, how many times do we have to be in this position until we say, you know, it's not acceptable? But if obviously we hadn't have made the announcement of the director of football and Neil's coming in and obviously addressing the fact that we need to do something, and this is, you know, this is what the future looks like. We've got big plans. We're going to be ambitious. You know, this is what we want to be doing. We want to be serial achievers and, you know, competing for those trophies and winning them. And, you know, if obviously we haven't got that right now, I'd be really doubtful over kind of like what the future looks like for City, and in terms of, you know, again, you know, getting those players in. Without European football, it's not as attractive, you know, for new players coming in. So I just think, like I said, there's a lot to take away for City for this season, but we've certainly got to see an improvement next.
100%. And I feel like even Man United last year, you know, Casey left, and like we said, it's on that downward. And he has come in and he has changed it, and he has, like you said, I do even think under Casey we were a bit, you know, not believing. But I feel like now it's been like, you have to do it. It's not me. It's all on you girls. And I think they're doing it. Even some might say despite this, but I think they're just doing it because they're together. But this is something that stood out for me, Paul. We need to keep honouring Russo to carry on. I do agree. I agree with what you're saying, Emma, in terms of the people that are going to come in. But we need to know what we're doing. We need to have a plan.
I know that.
Well. Yeah, I know that Ryan said something. No, Paul again. We have A, B, C, but not necessarily D. You need to use it properly. Bilderberg Risa, I think, you know, even Nam made reference to it, and the fact we're not seeing it. But then Sporty again said up here, Emma, as an outsider looking in, what do you think of the sub decisions on Sunday? And I suppose just like, I mean, like you said, you were watching the cup, and then she made 2 changes, didn't she? Then she brought on Harder, and then you could just see it going away from United. And, you know, Harder's a world-class player. She's left now, but then there's talk they're going to bring in Kat Macario and all these kind of thing. And, you know, they've brought in the girl from Germany. I mean, there's talk that Man United are bringing in Esme Brutes, you know, so it's not like we're shirking, but we do need to keep honour and thingy. And then, like you said, make the right choices. So, Sporty's question to you, Emma, what do you think about this?
To be honest, I mean, you know, I've always had a bit of a thing with Keats, but to be fair, I thought she was one of the best players, to be honest. And I thought she was one of the players that really should have probably stayed on the pitch, to be fair. Because if anybody looked to like create anything or have any joy, it looked as though, you know, Keats was going to do that. Because, and you know what? In those sort of games, she can be a big player. You know, she will rise to the occasion, and she gives you that extra little bit, you know, that little feistiness, that little bit of nitty gritty that you kind of need to win those kind of games in those moments. You know, it might be drawing the foul, it might be, you know, anything, but she'll give it you if she can do it. You know, Keats, she's really good in those sort of games. So for me, I wouldn't have took her off. But again, you know, some of the decisions in terms of managing players, I think have been detriment to sort of the results that United have got in the end. So I think it's just one of those things. But like you say, you can stew over it all you like. In those sort of moments, obviously, it falls on the manager, and it's just unfortunate because I think if you did give her an extra 10, it could have been a different game again.
I mean, you could no midfield, but Vilda, I think everyone's saying about Vilda. It's a shame for me. She's a class player, and don't know why she doesn't get the minutes. But it's not a show about Vilda. I could do a whole hour over this. But I mean, Yvonne, Paris sub was ridiculous. I was going mad. Yeah. And I'm the same as you. I'm not. That wasn't a player that I wanted to see come into Man United. I didn't think it was the right direction. She has done well. Do I think they can still get better? Yeah, but I think she's a player now where she's probably not making the World Cup, and Man United are going Champions League. She's happy. See it out here. See it out as a sub. But then, like you say, this is where we then need to keep people happy. And we see with Emma, she can keep everyone happy. And I suppose it's about learning that as a manager.
And you know what? She does it time and time again. Time and time again, Emma. And I really don't know how she does it. You know, players buy into her philosophy, buy into her ethos. And I suppose there is an element of that with United where they are really buying into it with Mark. You know, like you said, you were talking before about, you know, the players, the belief and, you know, playing for each other. And I think that is definitely showing in, you know, certainly the reaction to the loss at the weekend as well, in the way that, you know, there was solidarity with, you know, the team in terms of, you know, how they kind of really took it in, so that maybe, you know, they've got to take something away from it and, you know, use it as fuel not to be in that position again in the next, when they get there again, you know. So, you know, you win and lose together, don't you? I know it's dead cliche, but I think it kind of felt like that a little bit with the FA Cup defeat.
Yeah, I think this time last year we were watching them lift the league, and I feel like that's really inspired us. I think I remember when we lost to Villa. It wasn't lost, it was a draw, but that, you know, they said to each other, we don't want to be here again. And yeah, we've lost the final, but we're not in a position now where we're going to, you know, even if we lose the league, if we finish second, for me, it's a good season. I'm delighted. Nam, I don't know what you think. Are you happy with second? Or I know a lot of people that were in here before saying, we're going to win the league. And yeah, of course I'd like to win the league, but was that ever our aim? No. So yeah, I don't know.
I'm kind of even happy with third, to be honest. If we get like, because as I said, like right, like last 4 years, that's just been like just get into top four, so just get into top three, then you'll get good players, and then you can keep on building the team even further. So if we come second, it's going to be an incredible season. I think obviously would love to win the league. It's not in our hands. I would just probably feel that, you know, if there's a situation where it does kind of come into our hands, you know, where maybe Arsenal either draw or beat Chelsea, and then if we don't take advantage of that, maybe I'll feel a little bit let down. But you know, in general, second, I'd be more than happy. You know, just on the FA Cup, I also agree that Paris was one of our best players in that match. Uh, I think the substitutions were a little bit weird because, especially about what Mark said in his post-match comments, he actually did not, like, it didn't make sense on the field. Like he said, Tooney wasn't the player for the game, so like why play her? And then you bring in a player like Rachel Williams, who's known for scoring late goals. She's a striker, and she's kind of replacing Tooney. But Tooney is now going on the right wing, where I think Paris was having a good game. So now Tooney's not having a good game. She's shifted to the right wing, which is the wing where Pernilla Harder is kind of tearing it up. So it's not the game for a player, but you're putting her in the firing line. It doesn't work out. And you know, once again, so I know, like, I don't know. I think we had like a really good. I'm proud of the team. I'm really happy with the way we competed in the FA Cup final. But I think for me, if we come second, or even if we come third, it'll be a good season. But I still have that feeling that, you know, we could have actually gone on to win the FA Cup.
Yeah, definitely. I can see if people are just talking about the subs, and yeah, it's frustrating. I can see Vicky has a comment, and I suppose I want to bring it back to, I suppose, a City angle, because I suppose, Emma, what do you think? And then Nam, you can come in, because yeah, the Euros hangover. We're going into a World Cup now. you, Emma, have experienced it as a City fan, that tie and getting knocked out, and I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 years now, but in the row that it's happened where you've not got to a group stage. But my concern is that what's going to happen, you know, I don't know if I'm echoing. My concern is that basically what's going to happen in terms of the World Cup, players coming back late, you know, not being able to have your first fully like a strong team, and then, you know, I don't know, just a player's going to bed in quick enough? Are we going to have a pre-season? I mean, how do you think you guys have gone? Because I'm different from Nam. I don't want third. I want second. I think third was the goal, but I think the posts have moved a bit. So I do think if we do finish third, I won't be disappointed, but I don't want those extra qualifying rounds. I want to be able to go into, I think it's about September, the third round is. So it's a bit more time. I think they said something like, if you finish third, you have to start 10 days after the World Cup final. And God, that's just ridiculous for me. Doesn't help anyone that. But for me, I think definitely second minimum. And I will be disappointed if Arsenal get the win and we don't. But, you know, you have got who's this? I don't think much. City had Kelly, Hemp has struggled. I mean, from your point, Emma, a lot of Lionesses have struggled. I do think that, yeah. What's your view, I suppose, on that?
So I don't think any team should be put in a qualifying position anyway. I think it's a stupid rule, to be fair. The scheduling is ridiculous. I mean, and this is just in general, as it is at the moment. I definitely think that they should really look at it. You know, you shouldn't be coming up against players like Real Madrid in a qualifying round. You know what I mean? Especially when you've and people will think, oh, it's this using it as an excuse. I wouldn't want any club to be in that position. United, anyone. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's reasonable. Especially off of the back of a major tournament when you've had little time or no time, you know, in your club environment to train, to prepare, to to have even a pre-season as such. You know, we were playing real crap pre-season games against teams that weren't even really testing us. You know, that we hardly had any of the players that had gone out on international available, in any of those sort of games to us. So it was really hard to see the team really fail at the first hurdle, as it were. You know what I mean? And I don't think any team should be put in that position. So yeah, I think off of the back of the summer, going into obviously competitive football, the scheduling has been ridiculously intense, and obviously it's the same scenario again off of the back of obviously the World Cup. Obviously, another factor that comes into that now is distance and travel. And players recovering from being out in Australia and New Zealand, and what that kind of impact's going to have on the players. You have to adjust for those sort of environments, and it doesn't allow the players much opportunity to rest and recover, to have time for themselves, and to go again. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I don't even. It does impact players. I think it's impacted a few of our players, the likes of Ellie Roebuck. I know you've brought up Chloe Kelly there and Lauren Hemp. I don't think their seasons have been all that bad, to be fair. I think they've had relatively good seasons, to be honest, if you're looking at those two players. But I think in terms of injury, that's my biggest concern. You've got players coming back, and essentially, when they're putting the minutes in and they're not getting that proper recovery time, then you have to also factor in the fact that you've got players there that need to be managed in terms of minutes and fitness. And I do think we're asking a lot of these players, and that's not just City, that's just everybody in general.
100%. I think Becky even said, you want us to play men's level of games, but then you don't give us the men level sort of treatment, recovery, rest kind of stuff. You know, we know a lot of WSL teams, it's not for anyone, but they go on coaches, whereas the men are getting chaperone flown, you know, private cars everywhere, and it's not acceptable in a way. I mean, now I'm just following up. I mean, like I said, I've put a few questions in. ACL injuries are the worst, and I think with this schedule we're seeing a lot more, aren't we? And you know, I mean, what's your thoughts on, I suppose, going into it? I know you said third, but are you worried with it coming off straight off the back of World Cup and then having to go into league?
I mean, I'd prefer it if we actually came second or first. So I think the first round is on 6th of September, which is, I think, 15 or 16 days after the World Cup final. So, like, we're definitely not having a preseason. Like, the international players are not going to have a preseason. I think injuries will definitely be a concern. You see Arsenal, a lot of their best players kind of having ACL non-contact injuries. You look at some of the other teams as well. You know, the injury record hasn't really been great. Then it's also like traveling to Australia, which is, I think, you have to kind of get used to coming back as well. So I agree, like, I don't like this current format of Champions League. I know we get a lot of good matches, quality matches right at the start, while in the men's Champions League, like, you usually have to wait after the new year to kind of get some really quality matches. But you know, I think they came up with this structure and this format of Champions League, and they didn't realize that there are going to be a lot more clubs who are going to rise to kind of the top of the European. Like, I think previously they had maybe like 10 to 16 clubs, but I think now every league has 2 or 3 clubs who are really good in quality. And not only are you kind of missing out on having all of that quality in the Champions League, but these teams will now have international players, and all of these international players will, again, play in the World Cup. So every team is kind of going to be affected by this. Another thing here is that, what do you do about transfers? Because Champions League, you start off just after the World Cup. So unless you make your signings before the World Cup, and again, players will not have as much time to prepare before the World Cup. I think they're asking them 15 days is what they get before they kind of travel there. So you have a very short window to do the transfers as well for the new players to come in, get acclimatized to the new club. So I think most of the teams will be struggling. And as for that comment about Lionesses players kind of not performing that well, I mean, Mary Earps has been brilliant for us this season. I think she's even better than last season. She's winning awards for fun. So it's not across the board. And if you look at Paris as well, I know she didn't play that much in the Euros, but I think compared to Arsenal, I think she's playing much better for us now. Tooney's form, I think, is obviously she's not had the same form as last season, but that is also because of the way our midfield is. We play with 2 defensive midfielders, and we don't play to her strengths. Last season, we had Jackie there who would kind of link the defense and attack. Right now, we don't have that, and she kind of looks very frustrated. She still played well in a few games. Russo, I think, again, compared to last season, she's not as great. But even then, she scored very important goals at the right moments. So she scored basically the winners against both the goals against Arsenal. She scored the goal in the previous match as well. So I think she's had her moments, but overall, I mean, fatigue has to kind of seep in. It's not just physical fatigue as well. Like, you listen to Tooney's interviews now, and you can just see she's exhausted about talking about the Euros, and I think the players need a bit of a break. So hopefully after the World Cup they'll have some sort of breathing space. If England win the World Cup, like, then it's going to get even worse, I suppose, for them.
This is what I suppose I want to come to you, Emma. because we go games. I mean, like you said, you said you haven't seen a lot of away games. But it's changed, isn't it? That mental fatigue. Yvonne shouting out your point about the Jackie thing. Yeah, probably. But I do think that the mental fatigue, I look at Toonie, the Toonie that I remember, sometimes I see her, sometimes I don't. It's too much for them. I hate it. I hate it. I hate when, and I mean, I get it. They probably like, I think at the start it was, oh yeah, this is fun. It's just relentless. When they scream at them. I'm not sure, like I said, I'm not sure what it's like with your lionesses, but it's like as if that's the only players that we have in our team sometimes.
Yeah.
Very Tooney, let's say I can repeat it. And it's, can I have you this? Can I have you that? Signs, can you sign this? Oh, you didn't do it. Oh, you that. Oh, she's rude. I just think, oh, Vicky's saying it. Too much, too much. So not for people saying this is the price of fame, this is the price of that. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I'm sorry, it's not. And I'm not really the biggest Lioness fan, but I hope they don't win the World Cup because I'm fed up of. I'm just fed up of it all. Really, sorry. I know it sounds horrible, doesn't it? But yeah,
I think you're right. I've never been a big fan of it. I always take a step back. It cringes the hell out of me, to be honest, when I see it happening. I just think it's rude. People think they're so entitled. These are players. These are human beings at the end of the day, and they deserve respect. How have we become? How have we become like so entitled, and why is this now becoming part of women's football culture? And the men's too as well, I suppose, as well, because we see that happening more as well. But I almost do feel as though sometimes the clubs are encouraging it. Just, look at this great moment, such and such has got given this shirt, and it's not for me at all. Like these signs and all the crap that comes with it, it just needs to basically. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think, off of obviously the back of the success of the Lionesses in the summer, of course, should it become part and parcel of the what they've achieved? I don't think it should. At the end of the day, you're there to watch a game of football. Watch the game of football, go home, talk about it with your colleagues, talk about it with your mates, your family, whatever. But don't give the players shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no good comes from that whatsoever. Like, if you've enjoyed the game of football and something organically really happens that makes it special to you, then obviously treasure it and do whatever. But the demand and the expectation, it just needs to stop. It just needs to stop, because it is actually for the fans that the fans that have been following the women's game for a long time and been there through the bad and the good and everything else. It's kind of ruining it for everybody else as well. And you know what? It's really weird. Like you've literally got. I know there was when Lucy was at City last season, just an example. You've got kids asking for shirts, and literally these players cannot give the shirts. They literally can't do it, and people get like annoyed about it, but they can't. They have one shirt. You know what I mean? They don't get new shirts every game. They don't. And we shouldn't have to be communicated. That shouldn't have to be communicated to get that point across. It should just be, accepted that you don't ask. I mean, I remember the first season where I was really starting following City. I remember one of the last games of the season, we were at Borough Wood and we were playing Arsenal, and Arsenal had won the league that day, and Arsenal fans obviously are buzzing, whatever. And City, we'd lost the game, and you've literally got players, fans asking for shin pads, shirts, socks. I mean, I think they'd have had the knickers, mate, if they bloody asked for him. I couldn't watch it. It's just cringe. It's always wound me up. And that was even in the early days. And I don't even know why it's being encouraged. and you know, people coming along just think and not even coming along to watch the games, just like thinking, oh, I can just get something out of this by going along to a game. Like, go and support the women's game, go and watch a good game of football, but stop being assholes. Sorry.
No, it's true, and you know, we've been in a similar situation, United fans, where we went down to Kings Meadow last year, but it was organic. Aoife was giving out stuff. People were walking over and giving. But then what led to it was, I want that, snatching it, grabbing, fighting. And then people would come out with trainers or whatever. Oh, I didn't want this, I wanted something else. And I'm thinking, oh, it's just, I don't know.
It's relentless, and it's just, it shouldn't be happening.
I don't know if I'm excited that it's going to be a full sellout, kind of on the verge. You know, if everyone, they've pretty much sold all the tickets. I know little pockets keep coming back up, but you know, all 4 stands are sold. It's going to be quite full. I'm excited. John, you're right, boss. Yes, he's spot on. Someone who's been there from the start. But Sporty's saying, yeah, all the behaviour, posting these signs, it's just, it's not what it is. And then, like you say,
I think United also posted something today about the derby where they had like pics of 4 kids kind of asking for the shirt and something. So yeah, clubs do that.
I think if we just said it's football, it's, you know, I think the derby, I mean, they used to sell it as passion and things, because that's what it is. That's what I'm excited for. I'm excited. You know, I remember the Liverpool game, the first game, I was excited for, you know, playing Liverpool. We won 6-0, but as soon as, well, you know how it's going to be, don't you, Emma? Yous are going to come out and it's going to be boo. It's going to be we hate City, and I love that. I love that. And United did sort of encourage it in the first, but they seem to have backtracked and gone down their sort of lioness route, and Toonie, we love you, kind of Mary, we love you route. And yeah, we do love Toonie, we do love Mary, but we love Man United more. And Man United don't like Man City or Liverpool, and these are the biggest games coming up, and this is where it matters. You know, even if we weren't, even if at the bottom of the league, even if we were playing for nothing, we've got to beat City.
Even if there wasn't anything to play for, it's a derby.
Yeah.
You know, it don't matter where you are in the league. It doesn't even come into it. It's a derby. You play for the derby. You play for the right to brag about it the next day at work. You know what I mean? I love derbies, and I do enjoy coming to the LSV, and I'm looking forward to seeing it sold out. I think it's going to be a raucous crowd, and I'm expecting a really good atmosphere. So yeah, I think those sort of things do kind of go in United's favour as well, and we've just obviously just not got to let it get to us on the day.
Yeah, definitely. I think Vix was thinking I was going to sing the song, but no, the songs will be sung, man. And I'm excited for it, because it always helps us. It always does. You know, they say it helps them, and I feel like when we played Liverpool at LSV, you know, we sort of have a bad time coming off breaks, but when we played that game, they knew that what they had to do, and so that's what's giving me hope, that they know what they have to do coming into this, because it's City, not because of anything else. It's Manchester City, and you got to go out there and perform for your fans, because it matters to us more than anything, I suppose, than the Liverpool. You know, go out there and give the results. Listen, I just want to touch Nam. Yeah, it's sad it's the last home game, but Namrata, what do you think then? Let's even touch on Chelsea. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Penultimate, I think they've set it up this way to be like this. You know, a London derby, a Manchester derby, and the second to last week. You know, how do you feel about going into it, Namrata? What's your feelings? How do you think it's going to end?
I think we're going to win. I think they'll probably be looking for revenge. I'm just saying, like, the mentality of this team is amazing this season. So even if they're not having a good performance, I just think they have this thing that we can beat City. And I think that's what makes them confident. So, like, they were very positive going out against Arsenal, because they knew that we have beaten them before and we can beat them. So, you know, they kind of played up until the last second at the Emirates Stadium, even at home. You know, they're going all out. So the mentality is something that they have, and I think they will feel a lot more comfortable that it's City. Chelsea is kind of because we have never won against them, so I think they still probably need to have that kind of confidence that we can go all out against them. But I think we'll win. I think Bunny Shaw will score, but we'll win 2-1.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with what you were saying about the whole. We've beaten City before, we've beaten Arsenal before. We go into it thinking that we can. I think the hype, I think the game, the atmosphere is all going to work in United's favour. I mean, people might laugh at me, but I do think it can be like a 4-2. I just United. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm sorry, Yvonne. I'm sorry, anyone. I'm sorry, Frank. But yeah, it'll be a 0-0 now. Yeah. No, but we haven't really beat them at home. Well, no, we beat them at home, but we never beat them in the league. But I do think at home in the league, we never lost to them either. I don't think so. I think we can do it. I expect us to do it. The atmosphere will be up for it, and yeah, and then who knows what Arsenal will do. They're on a good form, so let's hope it's big celebrations, big celebrations. But Emma, what do you think for City? Like, what do you expect from them? What do you think's going to happen?
I think United have obviously bridged the gap, and I think in terms of competitiveness, I think we're going to be kind of pretty much on level terms. I'm expecting there to be maybe even just the one goal in it, but I think it's probably just going to be that one moment again, sort of similar to probably the Chelsea game, really, where we're outdone by the one goal essentially. Bit of Bunny Shaw magic, but to be honest, I'm not expecting a high scoring game, but again, it's a derby, anything can happen. I would love a really open end-to-end kind of game, but I expect it's going to be a little bit edgy at first. It will probably take City a little bit longer to settle into the game, but I think in terms of our own game, we'll try and do what we usually do and have control the game, keep possession of the ball, and have some sort of moment of magic through the wingers, Hemp and probably Chloe, and hopefully get that delivery for Bunny.
I suppose just a quick one on this. Sport him up, sport face. If you could sign one player, I'll say it straight, Bunny Shaw. Nam?
Bunny Shaw, yeah. I would have said Lauren Hem, but I actually wouldn't mind Lauren Hem. But Leah's my favorite player, so I'll stick with her and I'll go for Bunny Shaw.
And Emma, if you could sign one player.
You always know that I'm a big Leah Galton fan, but I'm actually going to say, just because you said it before, I think Mary Oates has been outstanding this season. I think she's the best goalkeeper in the league at the moment, without a doubt. So at this moment in time, it would be Mary.
Sunday, Mary will break the clean sheet record. Yeah, man, that's what we want. That's what we want. 2 clean sheets. That's what they all want. And I know I'm not going to get into it a bit, but the player for me, signing of the season, I know we're not talking about this, but is Maya. And for me, it's such a massive difference as she came to United. I don't know what you think, Emma, about Maya Letizia, but
yeah, she's been
for
outstanding.
me, I think she's sort of changed our season
I think it's been the making of her, to be honest. I think it's been both good for the player, both good for the club as well. I think both parties have benefited from the move. And I think, if she continues the way she is, I think she'll become a really big player in the WSL.
Definitely. Listen, Nam, hey, who would have thought? Listen, we like Mary. Yeah, we always like Mary. Never really knew her.
Me.
Oh, right. Oh. Yeah. 5 years ago, we were in the championship. We didn't know Mary, so yeah, let us off. Yeah, Maya, big love for Maya. Listen, guys, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. Been watching consistently. Lots of love. I've got a show on Tuesday, transfer show. So make sure you check that out. Tuesday at 7. We're going to be talking about different things, but I've got a big journalist on to talk about transfers and the names that are coming up. Obviously, me and that journalist, I'll tell you, it's Rich Laverty. We'll discuss the game, the follow up. But yeah, definitely, if you love your transfers, get on that. Some good names linked, so and we'll hear what he says as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming on. Nam, shout out anything you want to shout out, or just where the guys can find you, or
Yeah, just Namrata_YDV on Twitter. Not active on Instagram, so that's the only place you can find me.
all right, no worries. And obviously, you've seen her link on our page and stuff, and she does a lot of content on here. Namrata. Emma, thank you so much for coming on again.
No worries. Thanks for having
2
me.
years later, we've flipped, and United are going forward, and City. Well, no, maybe but it's going to maybe take a while, and it's. I know you've always said thing, but it just. If anything, I do feel a bit sorry for you because we've been in this situation. So, listen,
it's football, isn't it? You've got to go with the highs and the lows, and so long as we're moving in the right direction, come next season, I'll be fine.
But listen, thanks a lot, guys. Hit a like. Emma, do you want to shout out your stuff again if people didn't check it?
So my personal handle's there, Emma_shown. And then if you want to listen to our derby preview for the Man City podcast, it's at MCW Fancast.
Go and check that out as well, guys. Listen, thanks, guys. Take care. See you soon. Bye, 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 bye.